Hey everyone, welcome back to AndyDemos, and you just heard the new Brothers AM from Chase Bliss and Analog Mic, and this is a dual overdrive that's still very true to the original King of Tone. It's all analog, but it has all of Chase Bliss's awesome features and powerful form factor. So let's get into it. If the purple didn't give it away already, this multi-mode overdrive is based on the legendary Analog Man King of Tone, with each side running the same sweet circuit with switchable boost, overdrive, and now hard clipping distortion modes. You can run the channels independently or stack them in series to dial in everything from subtle edge-of-breakup to full-blown analog chaos. Chase Bliss brings their signature digital control over every parameter, giving you MIDI, expression control, CV, and full preset recall over every combination of dip switches and knobs. Speaking of dip switches, on the back you'll find access to high gain modes, master volume routing, momentary bypass, and presence linking to the tone control. There's also a new circuit up front even before the gain stages, a Rangemaster-style treble booster inspired by Analog Mic's Beano boost. Use it alone to push an amp, sharpen a clean tone, or send your stacked overdrive and distortion settings into new wild territory. The Brothers AM is an epic collaboration that was 5 years in the making, so be sure to check out the full story at chasebliss.com. Let's start off with a real practical and basic setting. So each channel is set up for the overdrive mode, or the classic King of Tone sound, and we have the right channel set a little bit lower in gain and the left a little bit higher, so we basically have rhythm and lead individually, and then of course you have even more gain if you stack them. So both channels obviously have that nice soft clipping overdrive, very dynamic, and even when stacked with the gain about halfway on both of them, it's not overly compressed. It still stays very detailed, and that's kind of what I love about this classic circuit here. But let's get into some stacking scenarios here, and we could play with the other modes at this point. I'm going to do a scenario here where I'm going to be using the channel on the left as a volume boost. So I'm just going to go over to the boost mode, and here you'll notice it's a lot more dynamic even than the overdrive mode because we're clipping less. And we're going to be using the right channel as a heavier overdrive as our foundation here. So that's kind of the more organic approach, having that boost at the end of the signal chain. It's really utilizing the amp as well because it's pushing that into overdrive. But if you kind of want to just get a bit more saturation and compression, you could actually, use the right channel to just push the second overdrive into more of that saturation and high gain territory. So that being said, let's start off with a distortion mode on the left, and then use the overdrive on the right to add all that extra gain. And we're not really adding extra volume boost, we're just adding more gain and compression, and it's just going to make everything sound meatier and bigger. We could go a completely different approach here, a little bit more old school approach, and that's by using the new treble booster feature, which comes before the first channel. So not only are we adding treble booster first, we could still keep that in overdrive or even distortion, and then go into the second channel. But let's just start off kind of real bare bones here and go to the boost mode on the right and just hear what those two different treble boosters sound like, because we have two different flavors here. And while we're cranking the gain, let's check out the other treble booster, which is actually going to shave off even more low end, and it's a lot more kind of bright and strident, and it's really good with stacking with other effects as well. I'm really glad this is an easy to use pedal. We're not modulating any parameters this time around with this Chase Bliss. Dip switches on the back are really just for controlling things remotely, like expression pedal control for the gain or the volume, for instance. And best of all, we could save all those tweaks that we've done to a preset. So I mentioned the presence. Let's just see what that does. And I've grabbed, a guitar that's going to be a little bit more spanky with a 25.5-inch scale. And then I'll hold the bypass switch and reduce the presence. You're going to notice that it's a lot smoother, even with a higher gain setting. lowered that presence to about 25%, and now let's just adjust the tone to taste. And a little more gain. And let's just hear what that high gain mode is doing. So I'm going to go back to overdrive on both sides, and with identical settings, you're really going to hear what the high gain dip switch is going to add. And you know, it's just a cool way of just getting a little bit more out of you know, a pretty classic sounding overdrive pedal. And when I learned that you could do expression pedal control on this, especially on the channel 1 with the treble booster, I immediately had to check it out. So it's just a simple activation of the gain control on channel 1, and I've activated the classic treble booster that's in the style of a Rangemaster or the Beano boost. For the foundation sound, I've chosen channel 2 with the overdrive selected just because the amp is clean all by itself. Well, there's your look at the Brothers AM from Chase Bliss, and of course Analog Man. This was years in the making, and you could really tell they put a lot of thought and love into this. It's just a real pleasure to play, and you can check it out at chasebliss.com. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time on AndyDemos.